He's not showing it, but he feels it deeply. That's the part most people miss. We get so caught up in what someone is doing or not doing that we forget how good some people are at wearing masks. You walk away, you go silent, you take a step back, and maybe all you see is him going out, posting stories, hanging with friends, looking completely unaffected, and you start to doubt your own worth. You start to wonder, did I ever really matter to him? You replay conversations, overanalyze the end, and think, if he's not showing pain, maybe he's not in any. But let me tell you something, there's a kind of quiet pain that doesn't scream. It sits in silence, hides behind distractions, and buries itself under the surface. And for a lot of men, that's exactly how it works. They're not out here pouring their feelings out to their mates over dinner. They're not texting long paragraphs to express their regret. No, they're sitting with it, feeling it, and doing everything they can not to show it. Because showing it means vulnerability. And vulnerability means exposure. And exposure means admitting they lost something valuable. Something they now realize they didn't fully appreciate when they had it. And this is where people get confused. They think, if he cared, he'd be chasing me right now. But care doesn't always translate to immediate action, especially when ego, pride, and emotional immaturity are in the way. Some guys don't chase, not because they don't feel the loss, but because they don't know how to process it. Or worse, because they're afraid that admitting they messed up would mean surrendering control. So what do instead? They suppress, they smile when they see you online. They act cool when they run into mutual friends. But when the lights go off and the distractions stop, that's when it hits. That's when the quiet creeps in. And in that silence, your absence gets loud. He remembers the little things, the way you encouraged him when he doubted himself, the messages you sent that no one else ever thought to send, the space you created where he didn't have to be perfect. That's the part that's destroying him, not just that you're gone, but that you were real. You brought something into his life that wasn't about drama or ego or games. It was about connection, about partnership. And when you leave that behind, it doesn't just disappear, it lingers. But because he doesn't know how to say that, or he's too afraid to, he pretends, he tells himself stories. It wouldn't have worked anyway. She's probably already moved on. I don't need anyone. And each day, those stories help him survive. But they also keep him stuck, because deep down, he knows he lost something special. And that realization, that's what's quietly destroying him. And here's the part that matters to you. Don't mistake silence for peace. Don't assume absence of pursuit means absence of pain. And above all, don't let his surface-level composure diminish the value of what you brought into his life. You were not invisible. You were not forgettable. You mattered. And maybe right now, he's not texting you. Maybe he's not calling or showing up at your door. But don't think for a second that means he's not thinking about you. Some of the most impactful presences in our lives are felt most intensely in their absence. Your presence had weight, your energy had gravity. And now that you're not there, he feels the pull, even if he's not ready to admit it. This is why you don't chase. This is why you don't beg someone to realize your value. Because the moment you step back, truly step back, that is when the contrast begins. That's when the clarity starts. And if he's capable of growth, of facing himself, of stepping beyond pride, he'll show you. Not just in words, but in how he comes back, if he does. But whether he does or not is beside the point. What matters is, you know your worth, even when he's pretending not to see it. You keep growing. You keep shining. You keep living like someone who knows she was never the one who lost. Because you weren't. He was. And one day, if he ever stops pretending, he'll realize that too. That's what's quietly destroying him. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can give someone isn't your presence, it's your absence. And this is something we forget, especially when emotions are high and our hearts are involved. We think vows, if I stay close, if I keep reminding them I'm here, maybe they'll come around. Maybe they'll wake up. But in doing that, we rob them of the one thing that might actually make them realize what they're losing: the silence, the space, the gap your love used to fill. People don't always recognize value when it's right in front of them. And not because they don't care, but because sometimes they've grown used to it. Familiarity has this sneaky way of making even the most precious things seem ordinary. We normalize effort. We normalize kindness. We normalize the way someone shows up day after day, emotionally available, attentive, committed. And then when that person steps away, it shakes the entire foundation. That's what your absence does. It's not about playing games. It's not about withholding love to manipulate someone. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you're willing to let someone feel the loss of it. Because it's only in the void that people start to realize what they had. It's in the quiet where their thoughts become loud, where they start to ask themselves questions they weren't brave enough to face before. Why does it feel so different now? Why do my days feel heavier? Why do I keep checking my phone, hoping for something from her? And maybe for a while, they distract themselves. They scroll, they go out, they try to act like they're fine. But eventually, in a moment of honesty, usually when they're alone, there's a flicker of truth that creeps in. Why miss her? And not just the company. I miss the way she saw me, the way she believed in me, the way she made me feel like I was enough, even when I wasn't showing up fully. See, that's what you brought to the table. You weren't just a presence in his life. You were the mirror he saw a better version of himself in. You were the voice that made him feel safe, the light that made things clearer. When you remove that, it's like taking away the only compass someone had in a storm. At first they keep sailing like nothing's changed, but slowly they realize they're lost. And that's when it starts to destroy them, bit by bit. Because now, every moment is filled with a contrast. The memory of how things used to be versus the reality of now. The messages they used to get versus the silence they sit in. The emotional support that was always there versus the emptiness they now feel. Your absence teaches them what your presence never could. And this is hard, I get that, because when you care about someone, when you love them, your instinct is to stay close, to fix, to hold space. But real love also means having the strength to walk away when your value isn't being honored. It's not walking away because you've given up. It's walking away because you finally understand that the longer you stay, the more invisible your worth becomes. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is let someone feel the ache of your absence. Because that ache, that's clarity. That's the moment they stop taking you for granted. That's when they begin to question everything they let slip through their fingers. And you might never hear them say it. Some people are too proud. Some people never reach out. But don't mistake silence for indifference. Silence often hides the loudest regrets. The truth is, someone who truly felt your energy, your effort, your authenticity, they don't just forget that. They may not show it in the ways you want. They may be too stubborn or broken to admit it. But inside, they feel it. Your absence is felt more deeply than any words you could have said. So if you're in a place right now where you're questioning whether pulling back was the right thing, if you're wondering whether he's even affected by it, know this: your absence is not empty. It speaks, it teaches, it echoes. And if he has any emotional depth at all, he's feeling the weight of it every single day. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply stop showing up and let your absence speak the truth. He refused to hear when you were still there. Let him feel it. Every day without you is another day he's replaying the mistakes. The moments he overlooked your needs, the times he was emotionally unavailable, the way he assumed you'd always be there. And here's the thing, he may not say it. He might not send you that long, heartfelt message. He might not call and break down crying. But that doesn't mean he isn't feeling the weight of it all. In fact, it's the silence that often speaks the loudest. Because what he's doing, day in and day out, is carrying this quiet, relentless ache. The kind of ache that shows up in the in-between moments, when the texts stop coming in, when his bed feels colder, when something good happens, and you're not the first person he wants to tell. Regret is a funny thing. It doesn't explode. It creeps in, slowly, sullenly. It starts as a whisper. Maybe I should have handled that differently. Then it becomes a murmur that plays on loop. What if I'd just listened more? What if I hadn't pushed her away? Over time, it turns into a voice he can't ignore. That's what's happening now. Every day he wakes up without you, he's haunted by those what ifs. They follow him through every conversation he fakes his way through. Every date that falls flat. Every night where he tells himself he's fine, and knows deep down he's not. He remembers the way you looked at him when you believed in him. That rare kind of belief that can't be bought, can't be faked. It's the kind of belief that makes a man feel like he's more than he thought he was. And when that kind of belief walks away, it doesn't just sting. It destabilizes his sense of who he is. That's what he's missing. It's not just your presence, it's who he got to be when he was with you. You gave him a safe space, a home, a feeling of being seen, in a world that mostly just glances. And now, without you, he's searching for that feeling in all the wrong places. Maybe he's distracting himself. Work, parties, scrolling, meaningless connections. But nothing sticks, nothing satisfies. Because once you've had something real, everything else feels like a poor imitation. And what makes this even more powerful is that you're not chasing him. You're not begging for attention. You're not trying to prove your worth. That's what's driving him mad. He expected you to wait, to linger in his orbit, while he figured himself out. But you're not doing that. You've stepped away with grace, with self-respect, and with quiet strength. And that's what's forcing him to confront the truth. That love isn't guaranteed. That people with deep hearts and high standards don't stick around to be taken for granted. The irony. The more you let go, the more he holds on internally. Because now, your absence is louder than your presence ever was. It shows up in the songs he skips, because they remind him of you. In the jokes that don't land the same, without your laugh. In the habits he picks up trying to fill the silence you left behind. Every day without you becomes a lesson. A slow, painful realization that what he lost was rare, and that he didn't show up for it the way he should have. But let me tell you something crucial here. His regret is not your responsibility. His pain is not your problem to fix. This moment, this reckoning, is his to experience. And it's necessary. Because without it, he doesn't change. Without it, he doesn't grow. This is the fire he needs to walk through, to become the man he should have been when he had you. And maybe, just maybe, this pain will push him to reach for something deeper next time. To love harder, to listen more, to value what's in front of him, instead of assuming it'll always be there. Or maybe, he'll fight his way back to you, not out of desperation, but with clarity, accountability, and action. And if he does, it'll be because your absence forced him to confront himself in a way your presence never could. But whether he grows from this or not, you've already won. Because you didn't settle. You didn't shrink yourself to be easier to love. You walked away from someone who didn't realize what he had when he had it. And in doing so, you reminded yourself, and him, that love without effort isn't love at all. That's why every day without you is slowly destroying him. Because deep down, he knows he had something extraordinary. And he let it slip through his hands. You know what's fascinating? While he's missing you, you're growing. And I need you to really hear that. Because right now, you might be wondering if he even notices that you're gone. If he's out there living his life, unbothered, while you're doing all this emotional work, healing, reflecting, evolving. But here's the truth. Most people won't say out loud, your growth in his absence, is affecting him more than you think. Men don't always respond to heartbreak in the same way women do. Some withdraw, some distract themselves, some pretend they're fine. But beneath that surface, when a man realizes you're not just waiting around, hoping he texts, when he sees that you're actually becoming more grounded, more radiant, more petite, it shakes something in him. Because that's when he starts to see that your world doesn't revolve around him. And whether he admits it or not, that hits him in a place he thought was safe. You see, when someone expects you to wait, when they believe you're still emotionally tethered to them, it gives them a kind of quiet confidence, doesn't it? They think they've got time to figure things out, time to come back if they want to, time to sit with their indecision. But when you start evolving without them, when your energy changes, your posture shifts, your standards rise, they feel that in their bones. And that feeling isn't just sadness, it's fear. Fear that they may never catch up to the version of you they took for granted. Every moment you choose to invest in your growth, whether that's through setting boundaries, pursuing your passions, building your confidence, it's like a silent message being sent back to him. That's a message he might not be ready for. And yet, it's the most powerful thing you can say, without ever uttering a word. He may scroll past your photos, catch a glimpse of your smile, your laugh, and feel a pang of something he can't quite describe. It's not just nostalgia, it's recognition. Recognition that you are no longer where he left you, that the door he thought might always be open is now guarded by a version of you who knows her worth. And he starts to understand, in the quiet, that while he was staying still, you moved on, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Now here's what I want you to remember. This growth you're experiencing, it's not about making him jealous. It's not about proving a point. It's about you stepping back into your power. It's about you realizing that love doesn't require you to shrink, that you are allowed to keep rising, even if the person you once wanted to rise with didn't come along for the journey. And ironically, it's decent that your decision to rise anyway, that hurts him the most. Because he's not just mourning the version of you he lost. He's mourning the future he assumed he'd always have access to. That version of you who once forgave too quickly, who waited too long, who prioritized his potential over your peace. That version no longer exists. And now he's forced to confront the cost of his hesitation. Growth doesn't shout. It doesn't chase. It doesn't plead. It simply becomes. And you're becoming someone who no longer fits into the small space he offered. Someone who now realizes that love, real love, doesn't ask you to pause your journey. It meets you on the path. So let him sit in the silence of your absence. Let him feel the weight of a life that no longer includes you. That's not cold, that's clarity. Because if he ever does return, it won't be out of comfort. It won't be because you were convenient. It'll be because he saw you rise, realized what he lost, and decided to become a version of himself that could actually match the person you've become. That's the only reunion worth considering. Until then, keep growing, keep evolving, keep becoming so deeply grounded in your worth that no one ever makes you question it again. Let your absence speak. You is not trying to hurt him by moving on. You're simply reclaiming your power. And yet that's often what cuts the deepest. Not the silence, not the distance, but the realization that you're no longer sitting in that emotional waiting room, hoping he'll finally see what's always been in front of him. You see, there's this illusion we sometimes buy into, that if we let go, they win. That pulling back somehow makes us seem like we care less, like we're playing games. But that's not what's happening here. Moving on isn't about revenge. It's not about making them feel the pain you felt. It's not even about showing them what they lost. It's about radiance. It's about rediscovering the parts of you that were dimmed while you were too busy trying to be enough for someone who wasn't showing up. It's about waking up in the morning and no longer checking your phone, hoping today will be the day they finally say what you've been dying to hear. It's about making peace with unanswered texts, with the calls that never came, and realizing that you deserve more than someone who only sees your worth once you're gone. And here's the twist: when you start focusing on yourself, on your happiness, your peace, your purpose, that's when something shifts in them. Because suddenly, the power dynamic they were comfortable in, the one where they could come and go as they pleased, knowing you'd always be there, it disappears. Now they're not just thinking about you, they're noticing you. They're noticing how you carry yourself differently, how you've stopped explaining yourself, how your smile is no longer seeking their approval. And that does something to them. It makes them realize that maybe, just maybe, you were the one who gave the relationship meaning all along. That it wasn't the messages, the attention, the plans. It was you asterisk. But here's the most beautiful part. You're not waiting for them to realize it anymore. You're no longer living your life, hoping to be seen by them. You're living your life being seen by yourself. And that's when your radiance becomes undeniable. It's not performative. It's not calculated. It's effortless. It's the kind of energy that doesn't chase. It attracts. They might be hurting. They might be lying in bed every night, wondering what you're doing, who you're with, if you ever think about them. And that pain, it's not from what you did. It's from the silence they created, finally echoing back to them. The silence you stopped filling. The love you stopped pouring into someone who wasn't ready to receive it. And let's be honest, yes, a part of you may want them to hurt a little. That's human, especially when you gave everything you had, and they didn't seem to notice until it was too late. But the growth comes when you realize you don't need them to hurt. You're not living for their awakening anymore. You're living for your own. There's a grace in moving on without bitterness. There's a power in healing without needing to prove anything. Because when you truly let go, not to make a statement, but because your peace is more important than their confusion, that's when you become magnetic. That's when everything changes. And if they come back, if one day they do show up with clearer eyes and a fuller heart, you'll be able to look at them from a place of strength. Not to say I told you so, but to say, I grew while you weren't looking. Because love isn't just about being chosen. It's about being cherished and you can't be cherished by someone who only sees your value in your absence. So no, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about making him suffer. This is about reclaiming your light, about letting your joy speak louder than your pain, and about trusting that the right person won't need to lose you to see what they have. Because the truth is, when you shine without needing anyone to validate that light, the world notices. And so will he. If he truly wants you, he'll fight differently. Not with grand gestures, driven by ego. Not with late-night texts that say I miss you, but lead nowhere. I'm talking about real grounded action. A shift in how he sees you. And more importantly, how he shows up for you. You see, when a man begins to feel your absence, not just notice it, but feel it shakes something in him. At first, maybe he tries to distract himself. He buries the ache under work, under friends, under flings that feel empty the second the moment is over. But it doesn't go away. That quiet gnawing, that awareness of what he let slip through his fingers, it lingers. And that's where the choice begins. That's where it gets real. Some men will feel the pain of your absence and do nothing. Not because they don't care, but because their pride is louder than their love. Because they're more attached to being comfortable than they are to becoming the kind of man you deserve. And those men, you have to let them go. Even if it hurts, even if part of you is still waiting for that knock at the door, that message that says, I've changed. But there's another kind of man, one who doesn't just miss you, he realizes what losing you means. He doesn't just regret the past, he starts reimagining the future, and he sees that future as incomplete, without you. And when that realization hits, you'll know. Because his energy will shift. He won't just tell you he's sorry, he'll show it in his behavior. He won't just ask for another chance, he'll earn, he'll reflect, he'll grow, and he'll meet you where you are now, not where you used to be. Because while he's been sitting in the pain, you've been growing in your power. You've been healing, discovering your worth on a deeper level, and you're no longer the version of yourself who accepted crumbs. And that's the key. He can't just come back to the old you. He has to rise to meet the new you. That's what makes this fight different. Not a fight to win you back, but a fight to become the kind of partner you actually need. A man who listens more than he speaks. A man who values consistency over charm. A man who sees your boundaries, not as obstacles, but as guidelines for how to treat you with respect. You're not asking for perfection. You're not sitting there hoping for fairy tales. But you are allowed to want effort. Real, tangible, meaningful effort. And here's the thing, when a man truly fears losing you forever, and he knows deep down that you're the one, he won't let ego stop him anymore. He won't rely on hope that you'll come back. He'll move, he'll speak, he'll act, because the right man, at the right time, does the hard thing. But let me say this, his fight isn't your responsibility to wait for. You're not on pause. You don't freeze your life while someone else figures out if they're brave enough to grow. No, you keep living. You keep choosing joy, peace, and purpose. And if he catches up, you'll see. You won't have to second guess it. But if he doesn't, that tells you everything you need to know. Because when a man truly wants you, not just the fantasy of you, not just the memory of you, but the real you with your light, and your strength, and your standards, he'll rise, or he'll regret. But either way, you keep going, you keep rising, he'll fight differently, or he won't fight at all. And that difference will tell you exactly where you stand. That's all you need to know.